and how we both started it. So I'll start off. I did not sleep at all. I still don't. I'm one of those people that just does not get a lot of sleep. Even when I was a kid, I would sleep like, you know, I'd fall asleep at 2 in the morning and then get up at 7 for school. I just never required a lot of sleep. And I remember in 11th grade, had this English teacher. His name was Mr. Churchill, actually.
Hmm.
And I think he was like probably on the end of the hippie generation. Anyways, he in our 11th grade class, he was an English teacher, and he taught the whole class how to do meditation. I remember one of the things that stuck with me that he'd said was something along the lines of an hour of good meditation and you're in the zone is the equivalent of like 4 hours of sleep. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, I don't sleep much and I'm tired a lot. No matter what I do, I can't fall asleep. I'm going to try this. And I had, in 10th or 11th grade, 15, 16 years old, was doing this every night. Um, as a substitute for sleep because I couldn't fall asleep no matter what I tried. I read a book. I, tried to make myself tired. I couldn't do it. And it wasn't really stressed or anything. I just couldn't sleep. And I did it. And, you know, um, I could literally get into that zone of where your mind is completely shut off. You're not thinking of anything, and you kind of just feel like you're floating there. And so I did it a lot because it takes a while for you to be able to get to that point or just sit completely still for that long. And when I got older, it was just easier. And I know I've told people how helpful it is because, like you were saying earlier, it just shuts your mind off. And people are afraid to do it. I can't do it. I keep thinking about work or my problems or this and that. And it's okay for those thoughts to enter your mind, but you just have to let them go and don't judge yourself and don't say, oh, I'm doing it wrong. Like, no judgment. You just do it and it'll get better. And eventually you get there and you can just clear your mind. And I think that's what is the biggest things. We were talking the other day about, if you do your coaching and you said, people will tell you what they're going through or whatever. And that's a lot to take in energetically. And then you got to purge that out. You have to have a way to clear and reset, you know, on a mental level because getting drained mentally is a big thing. How did you get started in it? When was the first time you tried it out?
So interestingly, I don't even know if I shared this with you, but I definitely haven't shared it like on anything like this. So my first career was law enforcement, right? I went to school for criminology. I had this dream to go to law school since I was like in third grade. Um, I was super uptight in college. I had to get straight A's. I had to graduate with a 4.0. I was kind of insane. I let loose one time in Miami, but that was about it.
Did you graduate with the 4.0?
Yes,
Did you get a scholarship from UT also?
yes.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's just funny. It's another thing we have in common. I went there, a quick story. I went there my first semester after I go back. My dad calls me on the phone. What the hell did you do? And I'm like thinking of everything I've done in the last 6 months because this is how he is. He'll try to be sneaky and get me to admit something. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what did you do at school? And I'm like, again, thinking of the million things that I did. Like, what? Anyways, long story short, I didn't apply for it. I got a 4.0 my first semester. And because I was an out of state student, the school just gave me like an out of state scholarship and it covered like almost 90% of my tuition. He's like, your bill is supposed to be like 20 something thousand. And I got it. And it's $2,500. What did you do? And I'm like I thought he was mad.
Yeah,
He's like, you made the dean's list and you got a 4.0 and you got a scholarship. Good job. I was like, thank you. So I guess we have that in common also.
yeah. So basically, I had this vision, this goal. I get into law school. I choose where I want to go. I get there and I fucking hated it. Right? I hated the people. The energy was bad. It was like a lot of ego stuff. And I was already kind of like an old soul from when I was little. Like I had a lot of shit happen to me, like with intuition. That's how I got into the angel stuff. I had like near death experiences. I had a boyfriend that died. I knew before he died that he was going to die. I just had a lot of stuff that I went through growing up. And I get there and the people are just like, I just didn't feel well, right?
Mhm.
I forced myself to stay for a little bit. And I was like, oh shit, I never quit anything in my life. This is like really challenging. and I didn't feel good about it. And I went to my old advisor at UT.
Hmm.
He was actually an ex-priest. Now, you know, when you join the priesthood, like you die a priest. Well, he left the priesthood and became a professor. He had like a PhD in like psychology. I loved him. We connected at UT like so. I don't know.
What was his name?
You know, I can't remember his name, but I just remember what he looked like, and he had like a white beard. Um, he was much older, and he used to tell these stories about like these FBI agents that, you know, went through these like things. And he said to me, like, well, why don't you do something different with criminology? Like do be investigations, this, that. And I really like looked up to him at that time. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I started applying. And anyway, you know, I could talk about this for a long time just because it was so many different
Hmm.
experiences. But I I felt, you know, really uncomfortable inside. I didn't feel good about certain things, and my soul kind of was like not doing well.
Hmm.
And I met someone, I met this guy, and he started hosting group meditation at a place that I lived kind of close by.
I've
And
yet
I
to
was,
try one of those.
yeah,
I
so
want to
that's
though.
started. I didn't even do it alone. I went to a group to a place, and it was like super powerful because we did like a 3-day weekend of like
Hmm.
6 to 8 hours of meditation every day. And I was like one of the youngest people in the class, and it was super powerful. There was a lot of, you know, emotional stuff that purged out. And I was like, oh, I definitely have to like continue this and keep doing this. Like it was just really um life changing actually.
Hmm.
And then, you know, I had some other interesting things happen where I got sick with Lyme disease and things like that. And I always would fall back on meditating and different kind of spiritual and things. And I always believed like meditating could help anyone with anything. I mean, people have healed their bodies. I
Hmm.
also my father meditate too, but he didn't really teach me. But I saw it growing up like it was a normal thing. So he used to put a sheet over his body to be like alone, like how I said I did it in the shower.
You know, it's funny you say that. So when I would do it and my kids are here, my kids know I do it. They call me like Zen Dad. They're like making fun of me. But anyways, um, when I would do it, I'd go in my room and kind of shut the door. But if they were yelling in the other room or had a friend over or would like knock on the door, it would slightly annoy me. And then I was listening to somebody share on a podcast. I don't remember who it was, some random thing I came across, and they were talking about it. And I think it was a mom. And she was kind of joking, and she said, same thought that I had had. It was shortly after I'd, was thinking that it's like slightly annoying, like I can't get the 15. And she said, when I was first trying to learn how to do it, something would happen. The kids would drop something. I get aggravated that I would have to get up or whatever. And she goes, now when I'm doing it and the kids make noise or they knock on the door, I don't even open my eyes. What do you need? Okay, I'll be down in a minute. And I just keep going. And she's like, doesn't bother me. And she's like, I don't even hear the background racket anymore. And I was like, hmm. And then I kind of got to a place like that myself where I'm doing it. And, if one of the kids yells or something or they're jumping because they're playing a video game, doesn't even bother me. It just washes away in the background.
Yeah, because it becomes a practice, a habit. It's like eating dinner. And
Mhm.
also, it has so many other benefits than just for our mind. Like, right away, you notice the difference with your mind. But then, like, if you really research it, like, it's about blood pressure and aging
Yes.
and so many other like health benefits. Like when I was young and I started doing it, I didn't really care about that stuff because I didn't really, you know, have any issues with my body. But then when I became ill and stuff like that, and I started to read about it, I was like, wow, this is like insane. Like our mind and our body is so powerful, and we kind of like all link up. We link it up together within our spirit.
Hmm.
That's how I also, you know, got into the holistic counseling and going into that because I realized like I have to do something for my career that I'm passionate about. I cannot be in a career that I feel okay about because it's money, because I'm getting all these benefits like, you know, to live. I have to do something like that I really am happy about because life's so short. And it
Hmm.
took too because I was judged hugely, like by my father. He was like, you can't leave that career. You have a stable career. You know, you're making a lot of money. You have a house. You're going to end up homeless. And he put like all this fear-based stuff out. And that's hard to hear as a young adult. Like, oh, you're going to be homeless, like such like severe, extreme fear. Um, you know, but he grew up in the Depression era, so you know they were raised differently. They saw a lot of like famine, and you know it was hard to even have food back then. So I I had to hit like a lot of challenges and struggles to go after what I wanted. It definitely wasn't supported. I had to go inside and really believe in myself that, you know, I could do something I loved and make money and support myself. You know, so that's important to recognize too, is sometimes things that you want in your life might not be supported by anyone except yourself. But if you follow your heart, your passion, your intuition, it usually 99% of the time will work out, I
Mhm.
think. So
And you can make it work out. It's all mindset, but you know what you're talking about before is like you heal the body. People don't realize. I know a lot of people suffer from stress and anxiety. You know, anxiety is a big thing, and I understand it can be debilitating. You know, I had it at one point, and it was very like it's crippling when it happens. I've had probably in my whole life like maybe three panic attacks where it was like anxiety and I couldn't move and I'd have to like breathe through it for 15 minutes.
mm,
And it's scary. I can't imagine people that have that 5 or 6 times a day. That's insane. But when you said to like longevity and how long you live, it's when you do the meditation and you clear your mind, all that stress and stuff goes away. Like things don't bother you. You don't react aggressively. You don't now. When I was younger, like I had anger issues when I was a teen into my 20s. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, a real good friend, about 2 days ago. And now when things happen, even if I do get angry, I'm just like, I just stop and I'm like, and I can have it gone in like 2 to 3 minutes because I don't like the way it makes me feel. And I can choose not to feel that way. And, you know, if it's on me that I'm upset, then it's on me. And I learn from my mistakes and try better to do better next time. And I can't beat myself up or be super hard about it. But if it's something somebody else did to you or a work thing or a coworker, you can't control somebody else's behavior. And why are you going to let it in and anger you? And anger and being upset is a legitimate emotion. It's okay to feel your emotions, but with the meditation and the being in that better place and more grounded, you can clear that more quickly rather than letting it linger for like the next 2 or 3 days. And I think that speaks to longevity. That stress sucks the life out of you. People that work a lot and have stressful careers, they have the bags under their eyes are set in. Like the difficulties at work stay with you when you come home and you're trying to unwind and be with your family. And it just carries into it. It just sucks the life out of you, you know?
yeah, but guess what? As soon as they realize that they have the power to change, you know, it really just takes that intention to realize like, oh, I don't like this, what's going on in my life. I need to look at this. And it's with anything. It's with our relationships with each other. It's with work, as you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
or just having a panic attack. I've had them too. And one thing I have to have in my life besides meditation is I have to go to the gym. And some people like, well, why do you go to the gym for 2 hours a day? Because I like it. It's
It's
part
my
of my,
therapy. Leave me alone. That's it. A good friend of mine said to me, she also goes to the gym regularly, and she has a lot of things she works through, but we're kind of laughing about it, and said something about the gym, and she runs a couple miles a day and does the gym, and she said it's my therapy, and I was just like on the phone with her. I was kind of taken back. I'm like, therapy? I'm like, that counts as therapy? And she's like, yeah, it does. And I like my mind was blown. I'm like, when I text you, she's like, you're like, where are you? I'm like, at therapy. Like, oh, you're at the gym.
yeah,
But it is, it is. You get it out. If you're upset, like work through it there, go hit the
yeah.
punching bag. Like, I don't know. It helps, you know?
And I also can attest, like, from a woman's perspective, like growing up in the 90s or whatever, it wasn't in to be curvy back then. You know, it was you were skinny like Kate Moss, like a model. And I'm curvy, I'm petite. So I started going to the gym when I was 14 because I didn't love my body and I started having issues around food and I wanted to eat. Like I'm Italian. I love to eat. Food is
Mm,
like happiness, you know. I don't eat when I'm depressed. Like a lot of people like overeat. They do weird stuff when they're depressed, and that's fine. But like I'm a happy eater. Like my
mm.
father was cooking in the kitchen, standing up for 8 hours making a sauce. Like I have good memories around food, and like people would come over and he'd feed everyone,
Oh,
and so
when you come over here, I'll make my sauce for you. I use ground pork, ground veal, ground beef. I cook, like I cook. My
yeah,
grandmother taught me when I was little, but I was the same way. When I started going to the gym, I was probably 18 years old. And if I was 145 pounds soaking wet, skinny as a rail, I could eat like two back when they had supersized meals at McDonald's. I could house two supersized meals. Like my people would be like, where do you put it? Is your leg hollow? Like I couldn't gain a pound. And I, worked out as hard as I could and took supplements and ate healthy and da da da. And I think the highest I got by the time I was in college was maybe 155. And UT, if you lived at the school, you had to have the meal plan. I mean, there's like 10 of us I lived in Howell Hall, and we would go down to the gym and like a crowd, like, all of us in numbers, we would go in there, we 2 to 3 hours in the gym pushing each other. And then we would go to the cafe and like mile like 5 trays of food, just sit there for like an hour and a half eating. I still couldn't gain a pound.
yeah, yeah. So you know that's the difference between men and women. I mean, when I'm in the gym, like guys are struggling to gain muscle, gain weight. You know, it's a different testosterone versus estrogen. But anyway, the point of the story is that the gym's been part of my life for like a really long time.
Mhm.
And it helps tremendously also with a variety of issues like meditation does. I mean, these are practices I think that every human being should be doing. And if you don't want to go to the gym, then you should be doing some form of
Walk.
physical
I
exercise.
try and walk a couple miles a day. I mean, it's been raining up here in New England like nonstop all summer, but
Yeah.
I don't like it in the winter. I don't like doing the treadmill in the gym. I was running on the treadmill in the gym, but I kind of like my knee started popping a little bit. And I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I'm old, so but you start falling apart. But so I kicked
Really?
it down to walking, but I was doing a couple miles. Listen, I am, not trying to brag or talk nonsense here. I am a 31 waist at my age. When I was in college in my prime, I was a 32. Okay. And, it's kind of just like, wow, you eat healthy, you do all this stuff. And, and it takes times people when they want to go to the gym, if they've never gone and they want to see the immediate results. And you do, if you've never gone and you do 6 months consistent, 3 or 4 days, you're going to see big results real quick. But then you hit a plateau and it's like, you know what? It took 20 years of eating shitty to get you here. You're not going to get it taken away in 6 to 12 months in the gym. It's going to take you a while and you're going to have to work on your problem areas and, set your goals for that as well. But it also gives you dopamine, which makes you feel good. Walking or running gives you dopamine, makes you feel
Mm,
good. It's a natural source of it. So if you go to the gym and you fold in walking 20, 30 minutes after dinner or with your kids or with your significant other, just go for a walk after dinner. It's healthy for everybody. You get outside, you get in nature. All of these things, like we were talking about earlier, small things you can fold into your life to make you feel better and make you, happier and healthier. And, it's easily done. Even my son, I do 50 push-ups every morning. I do some like light calisthenics for 2 or 3 minutes and I hit 50 push-ups before I get in the bathroom, brush my teeth. It wakes you up. I do it when I get out of bed. It's just what I do in the morning. Try to do it every morning. And I say, and the kids see me do it. And it's not, I can't do 10. My daughter's done it a few times. And every time I want to talk to him, did you do your push-ups this morning? When he's at his mom's. Yeah. Did you? How many did you get? I didn't do them. So it's like, I'm gonna go do them now, Dad. And then he'll text me, I did 12 or whatever. And it's like he doesn't do it all the time, but you know what? It's just a healthy practice. Same thing with like,
the mirroring.
well, we're talking like some like small things you can do to make a difference. Let me give you a big one that I didn't do for years, and you'll probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Making the goddamn bed. I was always of the mindset, I'm going to come home at the end of the day, jump in the bed, mess it all up. Why the hell make it? Just get out, deal it, change your sheets every few days, whatever you want to do. Don't, it's a waste of time. And a few years ago, when things shifted and I started, working through things, and I'd read something that said, if you make your bed, when you come home and you get into the space, your space is inviting. You're
Mm.
going to be stressed out if you walk into your bedroom and there's clutter on the end tables. Cause this was me. There's piles of mail and stuff everywhere and like things for work and my laptop's there and just stuff all over it's receipts and change thrown everywhere. Just clutter and the bed's not made. You don't feel comfortable. You don't feel relaxed because you walk in and the bed's not made, so you're already like it's not relaxing. And then like, oh well, there's that bill that I was supposed to pay 2 days ago and I forgot, and now you're stressed out about that. And where's my keys? I can't find them because they're on the counter under papers. So I whipped everything off all the counter surfaces. I make my bed every morning. It takes 2 minutes. I don't have a million throw pillows. I'm a guy. It looks nice, but you know, and you walk into the room at nighttime and it is relaxing. Like it's clean. There's, nothing in there to like trigger you or remind you. Like you go into the space to retreat and it's nice and it's clean and it's comfortable. And I tell my kids that and they push back on me, like, why are you going to make the bed? And I said, so when you come in to go to sleep at night, it's relaxing in your room and it's not chaos, because that little bit of chaos that you're walking into, it affects your mentality, whether you realize it or not.
Well, it also, I think, is just another that, and it's a habit that I
It's
do the
that
same.
one small thing you can do to start making a difference, to make yourself feel better every day.
I do it too, and I also make my daughters do it. And
Mhm.
I didn't even know. I thought it was like an old school Italian thing because I've been doing that for a long time. I even was so bad that I wouldn't leave the house until it was spotless. I've had to like let a lot of stuff go.
Well, that's
Like
OCD. I mean,
my grandmother was like that. Yeah, I'm definitely OCD, so I've had to let a lot of stuff go. But at the same time, the gym will help with that stuff too, like calming down. All right, nothing has to be perfect. It's okay. Like
mhm.
just be grateful that, you're alive, breathe, you're in the present, and really, start to like focus on gratitude,
Yeah.
like, all right, a lot of stuff is not super important that we as human beings make it, because we don't have an
No.
eternity here.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I always, bitch about with people, I'll make like comments to myself and my daughter. I'm like, God, this person must think they're going to be here in eternity. Look how they're acting. And it's stuff like little things that people let rule their lives that aren't really that important. Like being right all the time.
Oh God, I used to struggle with that so hard. And I still do, but I catch myself and I just let it go, because I think one of the first times we spoke on the phone, I said to you, the way I am these days, somebody says elephants are pink. Yep, elephants are pink. I forgot. Thanks. Have a nice day. I have no desire to be right. I have no desire to be drawn into it. Like, even if it's a situation where you're right and this person is 100% wrong, old me would like have to prove the point. Now, I okay.
No, because the other thing is we're all living in different realities. Like how we
Yes.
are within, we're projecting that without. And so someone might see things completely different than you or me or whatever. Like you and I link up and our energies are like, on that same level. So
Mhm.
you don't deal with that kind of struggle. But you come in contact with certain people. I've shared a couple things with you with like dating and stuff, and I'm just like, wow, how is this person like not aware of that? Like they're living on a totally different reality.
People live
It,
in their own reality all the time. Unfortunately, their reality sometimes is twisted or it doesn't sync up with your reality. And hey, that's okay.
mm-hmm.
As long as you try and be a good person, it's just people's realities don't sink in and they're just assholes, for lack of a better word. I just don't have the patience for that any longer. But when I was saying being right, I meant like on a factual issue, like, this happened in 1776. And you're like, I think it was, 1840. no, 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 it was 17 seconds. Like, no, I know for a fact from history. I was like, and I would like push it nowadays. Like, are you sure it wasn't that? No, it was this. Okay, that's it. Done. Don't need to go any further. Don't need to argue on something. And a lot of times it's most people do that with such petty, trivial shit. It is ridiculous. So I'll give you a small example. My dad doesn't drink, never drank. Just, all his friends knew it. He's in the Shriners, big drinkers, in the Masons are all big drinkers at the events. And he'll just get, Sprite with lime usually is his drink because these guys are all drinking, and they all know, no qualms about it. And he said my dad was divorced and he's remarried. And he shared with me the other day, and they fight like cats and dogs. They're like children. It's hilarious. But anyways, he said his wife speaks with my mother and said something along the lines of, she told me you came home drunk a couple of times. And my dad's kind of going off about it. I'm like, Dad, look. I go, he's 70. I'm like, Dad, look, I'd love you, but I know at some point in your life you've tried a beer. He's like, no, 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 I have. And I go, so even if, and he's been married to the woman he's married to now for like, I want to say a little over 25 years, maybe 28. So in the entire time that they've been together, almost 30 years, let's say, he's never had a drink. And she knows this, right? And she also was friends with him in childhood. So they all knew each other. He was best friends with her brother. So my mom knew her from, all that stuff. And I said to him, does it fucking matter even if you, because he wouldn't want to admit it to me. I would go, Dad, look at, even if there was a time or two in your life that you came home drunk, right? Like, just let's say it happened and you said, I don't like feeling hungover, I'm never drinking again. Like, okay, everybody's young ones. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? And he was kind of like, yeah, exactly. Like, why the hell is she even bringing it up? And I'm like, but why are you reacting to it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you getting so defensive about it? Like, all you'd have to say is, hey, I haven't had a drink in the last 30 years since we've been together. So there's that. I don't know. It's nuts what some people argue about, or bicker. Bicker is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. And also balance, I think, is important. Like, I see nothing wrong with drinking.
No,
I mean, I was allowed to, have sips of wine and beer from like a young age, because in Italian culture, like if you go to Italy, like when you're 12 or whatever, like you can have a glass of wine. It was never taboo for me to have a drink of something. So when I got older, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to go crazy and drink a lot. Like drinking is just part of like a social thing for me. Like going out and having dinner, I'll grab a drink. I'll smoke some weed. Everything in moderation, I don't think is bad.
Right.
We start to use something to cover something to help you feel better, and it's, when it becomes like a dependency on something, then, you start to realize, all right, there's an issue here. Like if you're in a boat and you're going to a destination and, the water starts getting in the boat's going to sink, right? Because you can't have water in the boat. And so if you're doing something like drinking, smoking, this and that, and it consumes your whole system, then there's a problem. But I see nothing wrong. And, I've been doing counseling now 18 years, and I know addiction is a big thing, but really there's something going on inside.
Absolutely. You're covering up a core trauma or a core wound, and that's why you're behaving to fill that void or to push that emotion down, whether it's, drinking, overeating, gambling, too much sex, substances, what have you. You're covering up some type of core wound. But I had a thought I wanted to say earlier when you said, because we're both Italian and growing up in the Italian households, we should do an episode on this. It's so in the Italian household, do you have any brothers? So in Italian, I mean, I'm sure you already know this. The women take care of the men. So it's like a lot of times in these households with things like making the bed or cooking, doing laundry, the women in the house, would do that. Like the sisters would help mom cook, mom would make the beds. Like my mom did it, to an extent when we were little, till we were like teenagers. And I get it, as a parent, it's easier to just make the damn bed yourself because the kids are going to half-ass it. But it affects people when they get older, when they don't learn those habits or how to take care of themselves. And even though it's done with love and the best of intentions, the doing everything, including wiping your butt for you till you're 19 years old and you go to college and you're in a dorm or you're in your first apartment. You don't know how to do anything and you're not really preparing them for life. And teach my kids, they cook, brunch with me on my Sundays and they make their bed. And I taught my daughter when she was doing laundry the other weekend when she was here. She's like, I got to do laundry, my pajamas, I'm sleepover. Okay, get your basket. Let me show you how to do it. And I did it with her. I didn't just say figure it out. But and she come get me. Is it time to put it in the thing? And now she knows how to do laundry. It's done.
Yeah.
Easy.
My father grew up with, I think, 11 siblings. So, and he was like the youngest or the second
Wait, give me 1
youngest.
sec, Lisa. I'm just finishing something up. All right. So my call just came in and